Hi everybody, TJ Mack from Vintage Cards and Nostalgia here. When I sat down to think about my hobby goals for 2026, one word kept coming back to me: intention. In 2025, I purchased 86 graded cards. That's 14 fewer than in 2024 and less than the 96 I added in 2023. I also noticed something interesting. When I broke those purchases down by decade, my buying across the 1950s through the 1980s was much more balanced than in previous years. I didn't set out to do that, but it makes sense, being I enjoyed collecting all those decades. I also finished the year about $335 under budget. I didn't plan it that way, but I'm not going to buy just to buy. My wife and I are very focused on retirement planning, and we're also thinking a lot about the legacy we want to leave for our children someday. At the same time, I want to be collecting well into my golden years, and I want to be financially in a good place to do all of that. For me, that balance is the goal. So in 2026, I'd like to once again add somewhere between 65 and 110 cards and magazines to the collection. But more than numbers, today I want to talk about how I'm collecting, the framework I'm using, and what I'm focusing on, and why. I've learned over the years that I collect best when I stay focused on specific sports and eras. Unlike some past goal videos, I'm not going to talk about specific cards I'm chasing, with one exception, which I'll share in a moment. Instead, I keep a broad mental list within my focus areas, and when the right card presents itself, the right player that is, and the right story, I will act. That approach has made collecting feel far more enjoyable and far less pressured. The one card I'd really like to add this year is the 1952 Topps Billy Martin rookie. As I'm getting older, I have the desire to connect more and more to those figures that influenced me as a child. Billy Martin, he was one of those towering figures when I was growing up. Player, manager, a personality. He always seemed to be there. Intense, fiery, and endlessly interesting. Now last month, I did a video on the 36 cards I would keep if I can only fill one display case. This 52 Topps Martin will be a foundational card in my collection. Another major focus area for this year is continuing to build out my vintage hockey collection from the 50s and 60s. This has been a goal for a few years now, and I'm really happy with the progress. In 2023, I added just 10 vintage hockey cards. In 2024, that number jumped to 23, and last year, I added 30. One of those pickups, which I haven't shown on the channel yet, is this beautiful 1959 Topps Terry Sawchuk. I picked it up in November, and I absolutely love it. The yellow and red work so well together, and it's just a classic looking design. Now looking ahead to this year, I'd love to add 25 more hockey cards from the 50s and 60s. That's a little less than last year, and part of that is because most of these cards were issued only in Canada, and I buy a lot of them from Canadian sellers. With the tariffs on Canadian items right now, it may slow that down some. We'll see how it plays out, but I'm committed to staying patient and flexible. One of my goals that I'm most excited about working on in 2026, and it's a long-term one, I'm putting together a 50-card case of players from the 1930s and early 1940s with no repeating players. I haven't really talked much about this, but right now I'm at 26 different players, including this December pickup, my very first 1933 Gaudy card, and it's of Frank Lefty O'Doul. Now he has 2 cards in the set, but it's this portrait that's my favorite. You have the different shades of brown in the background, just a great looking headshot, and you have those piercing blue-gray eyes. It's such a stunning card. Now Lefty is one of the most fascinating figures in baseball history. He currently ranks 6th or 7th all-time in batting average at .349. That depends on how you count Josh Gibson as the all-time leader. I know Baseball Reference doesn't have him in there because of the number of recorded at-bats, but MLB officially has him as the all-time leader. And if Shoeless Joe Jackson gets into the Hall of Fame, which I think he will, O'Doul may end up having the distinction of having the highest career batting average of any player not inducted into Cooperstown. Now this video is not going to do his full career justice, but I just want to touch on a few things that make him such a compelling figure. Now he originally came up as a pitcher with the Yankees and the Red Sox from 1919 to 1923, but arm trouble ended his pitching career. He then reinvented himself in the Pacific Coast League as an outfielder, where he became an elite hitter with the San Francisco Seals and some other teams. And in 1927, he won the league's first MVP award. He returned to the majors with the New York Giants in 1928 at 31 years old, but it was with the Philadelphia Phillies in 1929 where everything clicked. That year he hit .398, winning his first of 2 batting titles, and set a then National League record with 254 hits. Despite batting .316, O'Doul retired after the 1934 season at the age of 37 to return home and become a player-manager of the San Francisco Seals. Now he's one of baseball's great what-if stories. You can't help but wonder what his major league career might have looked like if he had been in the position of a player in the field from the very beginning of his career. After his playing days, O'Doul spent more than 2 decades in the PCL, winning over 2,000 games as a manager and mentoring future legends like Joe DiMaggio and Ted Williams. However, his greatest contribution came overseas. Lefty O'Doul played a huge role in popularizing baseball in Japan, starting with an exhibition tour in 1931. He made several trips there, helping establish coaching methods for pitching and hitting. He even wrote a manual outlining how to build a baseball team, from drills to uniforms to strategy. And within a few years, the Japanese Baseball League was formed. Now, after World War II, O'Doul returned to Japan several times in the 1950s and was treated like a legend. His batting techniques were taught to generations of Japanese players. And this 1949 Japanese Manko card is a reminder of just how great his impact was. So in 2026, I'm looking forward to adding more Gaudy and play ball cards to my collection as I put this display together. Another ongoing focus is rounding out my baseball and football displays from 1956 through 1989. On the baseball side, I already have 30 or more graded cards from each year between 1956 and 1988. Now I'm working towards 36 cards per year so I can fill my larger display cases. I already have almost all the bigger names, so now I'm focusing on key players and important seasons. A good example is this 1978 Topps Gaylord Perry. Perry won the 1978 National League Cy Young Award with a 21-6 record. Interestingly, the card shows him with the Rangers, even though that Cy Young season came with the Padres. But it's an important card for that season, and it belongs in the display. That pickup brings me to 34 graded cards from the 1978 set. I'd love to add Jim Rice, that's his MVP year, and George Foster to complete the case. Now I'm doing something similar with football, where I'm aiming to get at least 30 cards, but I'm going to go back from 1950 to 1989. And that's to fill my 4 display cases that each hold 30 cards. Now recently I added this 1978 Alan Page, which brings me to 29 cards from that year. What's interesting about Page was that he was released by the Vikings 6 games into that season because they believed he had lost too much weight to be effective. The Bears picked him up, and he went on to record 11 sacks in his final 10 games, finishing his career with 3 strong seasons in Chicago. Now this project's going to take me several years to finish getting all those cards up to those numbers, but I like to fill my display cases with cards from the same sets, and then I rotate them out periodically. I just like to always have a different look in my card room, and it keeps the hobby fresh and interesting for me. This year I would also like to do a better job showing the collection I've already built. One of my favorite parts of the hobby is creating displays and sharing the stories behind the sets, the players, and the themes. Set profiles and deeper dives into specific years really seem to resonate with a lot of you, and I haven't done as many of those videos the past couple of years as I would have liked. For example, here are a few of my 1959 Topps football cards. The rookie of Sam Huff, a first-team All-Pro middle linebacker with the Giants, a third-year Bart Starr, whose Packers were on the verge of becoming a dynasty in the 60s, and the second-year card of Willie the Wisp Gallimore, one of the most exciting runners of his era. Now, Gallimore helped lead the Bears to the 1963 NFL Championship before tragically passing away in a car accident in 1964 at just 29 years old. I have 33 cards from this set, and I want to show them all off and do a video and talk about the 59 Topps football set amongst many of the other sets that I collect. Another goal for 2026 is adding 12 newsstand sports magazines. That was my goal last year, and I ended up adding 10, which I feel pretty good about. One pickup I haven't shown yet is this January 6th, 1975 issue of Sports Illustrated featuring Franco Harris following the Steelers' win over the Raiders in the AFC Championship game, which placed Pittsburgh in their first ever Super Bowl against the Vikings. The magazines add a different texture to the hobby for me. They capture moments and time in a way that cards, they just don't sometimes. And I really enjoy displaying them with the cards and telling the deeper story of the eras that I collect. And finally, one of the most important goals is continuing to improve the quality of my videos. I take a lot of time to try to put out the best content that I'm able to. I've learned a lot about the video making process, and it's something that I've become passionate about. Last year I made 38 videos, which is the fewest I've done in the last 5 years, and I'm completely okay with that. I'm far less interested in chasing volume or algorithms, and I'm just much more interested in creating videos that reflect who I am, a thoughtful, reflective collector whose collection is rooted in storytelling. I want these videos to feel like sitting down with a friend, looking at cards, and sharing memories, not rushing through checklists or boasting about the biggest pickups of the year. That's not what I'm about. As I head into 2026, the hobby feels different than it did years ago, and I mean that in the best possible way. I'm not trying to collect everything. I'm not trying to keep up with others. I'm trying to collect with intention. These goals aren't about numbers. They're about enjoyment, balance, and building something meaningful over time. I'm incredibly grateful for everyone who watches these videos, shares their stories, and takes part in the conversations. This channel has always felt more like a community than a showcase, and I truly appreciate that. Thanks for spending a little time with me today, and I'm looking forward to sharing more of the collection and the stories behind it in 2026. Until next time, take care.